Good morning, everyone. I'm from one of the presenters for Team Monica. Joining me today will be 4 hours, including Monica, Adelisa, Matthew, and the boy. Today, we'll be analyzing the previous team's work, also discussing commercial concepts and strategies, and execution of our advertisement for Single One. Let's get into it. Single One, aged between 18 to 35-year-olds, are those who are unmarried and do not have children, as well as same-sex. Whether or not the couple has children, this demographic is most interested in buying fashionable clothing and gear. People in the young and single category will also buy basic kitchen appliances, such as toasters or can openers, as well as basic furniture, such as beds or couches. These consumers make several purchases that will make them attractive for potential mate as well, such as designer clothes, cologne, facial, or hair salon services. According to Roy Morgan's value segment, single ones are identified as a look at me segment. This segment refers to a pattern of response most often associated with youth and rebellion from the family or household. They are looking for fun, freedom away from the family, being a part of their generation and in the crowd of their peers. They are fashion and trend conscious, wishing to stand out from their parents' generation, but are very conscious of conforming to their peer group. While this kind of response is more often found among teenagers, trying to stand out, seeking recognition by the family for being grown up at any time in a person's life, being very active socially, they prefer going out and partying to staying at home. They like to be seen as outrageous, taking part in cool or hip activities. Short-term thinking also features strongly in this segment, looking at getting jobs and working for wages, rather than salaries which carry more responsibility. Without mentioning Roy Morgan's look at me segment, this makes Team JWS a previous strategy for creating unsuitable YouTube ads in the sector, as they did not consider building a proper character profile of the single ones and their lifestyle behavior, attitude, and interests. When it comes to historical campaigns, Team JWS's previous strategy was to appeal to single ones' value individual factor humor. They have stated that approximately 95% of single ones prefer to view humorous commercials, while 5% prefer to view personal commercials. Furthermore, they have stated that approximately 80% of single ones find humorous commercials memorable, 10% find personal commercials memorable, and out of 10% find scary commercials memorable. Team JWS's previous strategy appealed to single ones' value individual factor humor, so YouTube will be ineffective because of TAC's branding. Sure, single ones may prefer to view and remember humorous YouTube ads, but it will not align with TAC's branding. When it comes to TAC's branding, they are serious on promoting road safety, avoid those who have been injured on roads and getting their lives back, which leaves no room for humor. If you go to TAC's website and have a look at the current previous campaign, all their YouTube ads are serious, have meaningful messages, and have no hint of humor in them at all. Finally, to solidify the previous argument as to why Team JWS's previous strategy isn't effective for the single ones, we did primary research on 15 respondents of single ones. When it comes to hearing TAC, 73% say they promote road safety, while the other 6.7% say they're serious organization. We also asked, do you find TAC commercials or campaigns funny? 100% have said no. And finally, we also asked, do you skip YouTube advertising? 86% said yes, while the other 13.3% said no. That's it for me. Now I'll pass it over to Adelisa, who will be talking about consumer decision making.
We'll be talking about the gaps in the previous group's decision making. The decision type has been identified as habitual. In habitual decision making, there is little to no decision being made. This is through repeated brand loyalty and the individual's daily habits. Since this group's target market uses YouTube so much as part of their daily entertainment, they won't have to do anything out of the ordinary to view the ad. The ad will simply be on there for them when they click on the video they would like to watch. Therefore, they have mostly targeted the consumer by utilizing natural habitual behavior. The first stage in making a decision is recognizing the problem. The group has identified that the problem is young drivers causing distractions and have attempted to activate problem recognitions towards the market. The next stage is the information search, where information is found to try to solve the problem. In this instance, this group used a combination of internal and external searches. They use an anecdote as an internal source in the form of personal experience and have also used external sources such as data. The group's evaluation and selection stage was evident through their justification of using a YouTube ad. They stated that 66% of their target market uses YouTube, therefore this was the smartest choice for them. The ad type they chose was a comedic sort, as their research proved this was the most effective type of ad. For choice and purchase, they chose to do a YouTube ad through a comedic way, as their research found that this was most effective in remembering ads. The group's post-purchase activities were, however, unclear. The topic of learning and memory suggests that low repetitive types of learning is ineffective and easily forgettable, as there's no conditioning period present. An ad on YouTube gives you no control over how many times the consumer will be able to see the ad, and also has very low enrollment, therefore making the ad unmemorable. Through situational analysis, we know that using the internet and YouTube as a platform will reach a vast audience. However, a problem arises with this method. The problem of having the ad not directly shown to the target market, which in this case are younger people, through YouTube ad, there is no method in which can differentiate who is watching the ad. The reason for the type of ad advertising they had used was decided upon the use of comedy to help the consumer remember the advertisement, as it would help interest the consumer, as finding something funny triggers our short-term memory. Marketing strategies based on motivation conflict are evident through the group's research. They showed an approach and avoidance style by showing both positive and negative consumer behaviour. To have used a strategy to its maximum level, they should have showed the consequences of what happens when you are distracted while driving. Nature of perception shows that the deliberate exposure of this advertisement is aimed to change behaviours such as texting and driving. Through the change of one's perception of the topic, this will be achieved. However, low enrollment could mean that this method would not necessarily work, as audiences may not be able to pay attention and therefore not register and process what they are watching. Through the topic of attitude and change, changing effective component would ultimately lead to a different feel about the product or situation. In this instance, the consumer should feel negatively about the variety of distractions while driving. This could have been shown much more effectively by again showing the consequences of each of those distractions. These are just some of the gaps I've been able to identify in the previous group's decision-making model.
In developing a new TAC promotional message for the single one target segment, which is individuals aged between 18 to 25, a randomly selected sample of 20 individuals were interviewed. The following results were gathered after we asked 3 questions. First one being, do you own a mobile device? 20 answered yes, 0 answered no. We then asked, what do you use your mobile device for mostly? 13 answered streaming, 4 answered social media, 3 answered gaming. We then asked, do similar references to content you view appear memorable? 14 answered yes, 6 answered no. Media consumption and lifestyle trends showed that the interviews that shed a light on the majority of single ones have access to a mobile device, of which 65% utilize a mobile device for streaming videos and film on service providers such as YouTube and Netflix. Additionally, the interview revealed that previously they found phrases in and around pop culture, such as movie titles and lines, to be memorable. Please note that the above results were only meant to showcase the broad media consumption and lifestyle habits of single one and their preferred device. It is not implied that the streaming of the video is a main distractor during driving. We again surveyed 20 individuals by asking them 3 more questions. The first one being, what comes to mind when you think of a vehicle accident? 6 answered fear, 3 answered seriousness, 3 answered death, 4 answered concern for others, and 4 answered personal safety. We then asked, what factors made you change your past behaviour? 4 answered empathy, 6 answered self-awareness, 7 answered fear, and 3 answered financial woes. Overall, single ones have a negative outlook associated with vehicle accidents, as 30% associated an accident with fear, 15% with death, and 20% with concern for personal safety. When asked broadly about contributing factors to changing their previous behaviour, 65% of the focus group found personal factors such as self-awareness of harmful behaviour and fear of said behaviour to have contributed to changing their habits. Without revealing personal identifiers, the nature of these changes when asked related to drug and alcohol usage, credit card debt, and unhealthy eating habits. Despite these being 3 very separate issues, a trend can be attributed to the change being led by fear and realization of self-awareness to the personal harm questionable lifestyle habits they have on the individual. Additionally, when asked to picture themselves as the victim of a distracted driving accident, 75% of interviewees responded suggested as summarized that the threat of the harm from the accident no longer seemed just like a possibility. The message paired with the scene of a driver meeting the ghosts of themselves in the future distracted driving accidents asks them if behaviours such as drinking in the car, combing hair, etc. are worth it, or if they can't be done earlier. Helps to elicit an appeal to the fear of death and harm single ones exhibit when considering the outcomes seemingly banal, distracting actions, putting themselves in the shoes of the young driver.
An appropriate communication strategy for single nest one is to confirm that the core of the information that we provide them with is 100% verified. We also need to approach them in a certain manner that would allow them to gain exposure and memory. Now, a study conducted by F-Trend comes to a conclusion that a part of single nest one, which are people ages from 24 to 35, is shown to be the most intelligent consumer group since they have experienced the beginning to the very recent days of our digital era. So the best way to gain their attention is through using social media platforms that are very popular to them. Now, these social media platforms give us the opportunities to make advertisements look like normal posts because study shows that only 1% of these people are compelled to advertisements. And another report conducted by Marketing Charts Group said that a part of single nest one, which is people aged from 18 to 24, are the second fast adopters to social commerce. And in first place is the other part of single nest one, which is people aged from 24 to 35. Therefore, we should align our purposes, our advertisement purposes, that will enforce their attention on our message.
The effect of the evidence used upon target market has deepened the viewer's perception, decision making, and subsequent behaviour. The following statistics used within the video include facts such as 1/5 of drivers contribute to fatal car accidents in Australia. 30% of drivers have openly admitted to going onto their phone when driving, as these facts have altered the perception of viewers as they are exposed to the information that alerts their senses, and as it is a very emotional statistical evidence. This will grasp their attention as they are the ages of 18 to 25-year-olds. As the following evidence is directed at a young audience, those specifically that have their license to bring attention to their problem so they can recognise how this issue comes about and how it can be minimised or resolved. The information research is both valuable and truthful as they are not false information being broadcasted to people across Australia. As the information is being spread to the population of Australia, it can start to make those that are paying attention to bring action towards the dangerous driving topics to try and minimise and spread awareness. By spreading awareness, it can also bring attention to those who are yet about to get their licence and understand the dangers that can happen while driving and how to be safe. This can cause a change in belief and improve their knowledge on the safety of driving, as it can educate the older generation on the dangers, as they may be also doing this behaviour putting others at risk. With the ad that they've decided to incorporate within their piece, they have chosen the specific ad as 18 to 25-year-olds find humorous ads to be more memorable. By using this data to create an ad to bring awareness and attention to viewers, it can play in their head before they drive or when they're driving to make the right choices and minimise the rates of fatal car accidents caused by the majority of their age groups. The consumer decision-making process has changed with the use of evidence and ads in relation to dangerous driving that is more adherent in the younger age group. This is because of the ads they have used and the reasoning behind it, as well as the statistics used that brings awareness to how little they care about their safety or even others in their car themselves. People now understand the safety and keeping their eyes on the road while driving, as one glance on your phone can change your life in seconds. I will now present the ad in mention that has been spoken throughout this presentation.
Who are you? I'm you, 24 hours from now, in the grave, involved in a car accident due to distractions.
How is that possible? I haven't hurt anyone while driving distracted.
Oh, you got lucky today. But you know what? You can change that. Why don't you finish your drink? Because you're always drinking with one hand and driving. Also, why don't you fix your hair now? Because you always keep looking in the mirror while driving. Finally, why don't you put your phone away? Because you keep constantly looking down away from the road. You should be all good to go now. Wow, thanks, future me.